So let's talk about Uber, but not the Uber you think you know. We're going to dive into how this tech company's biggest fights weren't with other apps, but with governments. This is all about their non-market strategy, how they took on the rules and, a lot of the time, actually won. When Uber first pops up, the story seemed pretty simple, right? It was the new kid on the block versus the classic yellow cab. And sure, that was part of it, but that wasn't even the main event. It was just the tip of the iceberg. Because Uber's real fight, the one that would truly make or break the company, wasn't just with other cars on the road. Nope, it was against the entire system that kept those taxis in business. Their true opponent was the government itself. And here's where it gets really wild. This tech startup, against all odds, sometimes won. So the big question is, how on earth did they pull that off? Okay, to really get how they did it, you kind of have to toss out the standard business textbook. We're not talking about normal competition here. This is a whole other battlefield. Think about it. When we talk strategy, our minds usually go to things like having a better product, a lower price, getting more customers, beating the other guy. But Uber's story shows us something different. For them, the biggest wall they had to smash through wasn't another company. It was the rulebook itself. And there's actually a name for this: non-market strategy. It's not about winning customers in the traditional sense. It's about actively shaping the legal, the social, the political environment around you. It's about changing the entire game, not just playing by the existing rules. So what is this non-market environment? Well, it's everything but the market. It's all the regulations, the government agencies, public opinion, and yeah, it's powerful groups like taxi unions. It's this whole messy ecosystem that Uber had to figure out how to win in. So let's get into Uber's playbook. Their strategy was so direct, so aggressive, that they even had a name for it inside the company. They called it principled confrontation. And this entire playbook was built on one simple, incredibly audacious idea from founder Travis Kalanick: ask for forgiveness, not for permission. I mean, that's not just some catchy phrase, right? That was their entire operational philosophy. It was a full-on declaration of war on the way things were. So how did they actually turn that motto into a weapon? Well, it all boiled down to a pretty simple 3-step playbook, and they ran this same play over and over again in city after city all around the world. First up, just ignore the rules. They would literally just launch in a new market, often in this legal gray area, without asking anybody. Their whole argument hinged on this one clever little bit of framing. Hey, we're not a transportation company, we're a technology platform. That one distinction was their key to try and bypass decades of taxi laws. Okay, tactic number 2, mobilize your users. This is where it gets really crafty. When a city government would push back, Uber turned its own customer base into a political army. A classic example was in New York City. They literally added a de Blasio mode to the app that showed fake, ridiculous 25-minute wait times, all to protest new regulations from the mayor. It was brilliant and totally ruthless. And finally, tactic 3, lobby and lobby hard. They would just flood the zone with money. In New York, they spent a staggering $3.2 million on ads just to fight that one proposal from Mayor de Blasio. And that wasn't a one-time thing, not at all. In Austin, Uber and Lyft teamed up and dropped $8 million to try and kill a law they didn't like. You see, this wasn't just business as usual. This was a full-blown political campaign. But, of course, you can't just go around kicking over sandcastles without a fight. Governments had very real reasons to push back, and, the stakes here were absolutely massive. See, Uber wasn't just a new app. It was a wrecking ball aimed at entire systems that had been in place for decades. In a place like New York, taxi medallions, these licenses to operate, were worth over $1 million. Suddenly, those were at risk. Uber was also ignoring price controls, sidestepping labor laws, and creating all new headaches around safety and traffic. And that really gets to the heart of the whole conflict, right? Uber kept saying, we're a tech company bringing innovation, but the regulators were looking right back at them and thinking, no, you're a transportation company and you're just blatantly breaking all the rules. So, with this huge battle raging all over the world, did the playbook actually work? Well, the answer is, it's complicated. Let's take a look at the scorecard.
In places like New York, it was a massive win. Why? People were already super frustrated with the existing taxis. Same thing in Bogota, where many riders felt Uber was just safer. But then you look at China, they got absolutely crushed by a stronger local competitor. Or Germany, where the regulations and laws were just too strong, and they got shut down, banned.
And the lesson here is crystal clear. This non-market strategy stuff is local. It is not one size fits all. The exact same playbook that worked like a charm in one country could, and absolutely did, fail spectacularly in another. So, what's the big takeaway here? What does this whole saga really teach us about the new rules for how tech companies win? Well, for one thing, it kind of shatters that old myth that the best technology just automatically wins. Uber's story proves it's just not that simple. A great app, on its own, isn't enough. The rules of the game, the laws, the regulations, matter just as much, if not more, than the code. And maybe the biggest insight from Uber is that those rules aren't set in stone. They can be bent, they can be rewritten, and sometimes they can just be broken. And that leaves us with this final, powerful idea. The companies that are truly winning today don't just compete better than everyone else in the existing market. No, they use their power, their money, and their influence to shape the game itself.